Well, in all my years of doing this, Jim Jackson, probably more than any athlete, 15 years in the NBA, works at Fox Sports, has an understanding and appreciation and an excellence with golf. So we were talking during the break. You are a tried and true golfer. Yeah. You love the tour. Were you initially outraged, because you have some thoughts on the LIV Tour and the PGA Tour merging, were you initially outraged by Phil, Dustin, and Brooks going there?
Maybe because of the optics of how it happened. Okay, because the back and forth between Phil, the PGA, what's right, what's wrong, it's the money, it's Greg Norman. It was convoluted a lot because I don't think the message was articulated good enough where people could really understand why this was important. But anytime you have a competing faction against the power, it's always going to be some pushback. Always. ABA, NBA, USFL, AFL, NFL. It's always going to be that until it starts to circulate a little bit more. And now you see the fruits of what it can bring to the table. Now you're like, oh, okay, it may make some sense.
By the way, why would LIV Golf want to do this?
Well, TV rights.
Bingo.
You got to be on TV.
They're not on TV
They're
enough.
not on, from the street. Now, as we're evolving into direct-to-consumer-based streaming for sports, okay, we're not there yet.
Right.
So they can't benefit off of people packaging the deal and say, okay, we just strictly want this. In today's world, in order for it to have some momentum, it has to be on TV all the time so people can watch it. Even the novice golf fan can watch it. But if you have to go look for it, that's just too much.
Yes.
If you're not really into golf.
Think about this. The AFL and the NFL merged.
Mm-hmm.
The ABA and the NBA merged. Mm-hmm. And then LIV and the PGA merged.
It is, one thing about the NBA is this, is that if you look at the time of the ABA, okay, the NBA took so many things away from the ABA. Because at the time, the ABA, in order to get fans in the stands, they needed entertainment. So you had halftime shows, you had all the cheerleaders. You had the tricolored ball, but you had all the marketing to get people in the arena. Three-point shot, slam dunk contest. All these things were looked at as gimmicks to the NBA over the establishment. We're not going to bow down to that. But yet and still, look at today's game. All of that stuff that you see in the in-arena activity is all a byproduct of the ABA.
The XFL with Vince McMahon used camera angles. NFL stole them.
Stole them. Because, again, they've been established so much. Why do we need to change? We don't need to change. We're the PGA. We're MLB. We're the NFL. We're NBA. Everybody should come up to us instead of kind of being open a little bit more to the ever-changing needs of the demographics. And the demographics change is going to dictate what you do, how the product is, seen.
It bothered me that the PGA Tour leaned into 9/11, knowing full well that our government has Saudi money and relationships. Yeah. But Jay Monahan went out, and I thought the PGA was heavy-handed.
Yep.
When the truth is, years ago, Shell Oil used to host golf events.
Big time, the Shell Open in Houston. Okay, so it's when we're talking about morality,
right?
Okay, and it's all relative from this perspective, is that you can't sit here and say, well, on one hand, we don't want to take Saudi money, but yet we're doing business all the time with Saudi Arabia, whether that's governmental, industrial.
Ask yourself this. Do you think in the last 50 years, any pro golfers have done speaking engagements?
Oh, for Saudi, no question. But what about corporate America, who does some stuff like that? So it's interesting. When you want to make an argument for something or why it shouldn't work, you can always bring up something. But yet and still over here on this hand, doing business is not a bad thing. And I just think it comes to an inflection point where the PGA understood that they still needed stars.
Yeah.
And the difference is, and I look at golf like this, kind of, we have tremendously talented young players in golf. I mean, unbelievable across the board. But do they have an it factor that captures the novice golf audience? Tiger had that. Even if you weren't a golfer, even if you didn't watch it.
He got you to a TV on Sunday.
He got you to a TV. Saturday and Sunday, it's Tiger playing. From people, housewives that didn't even care about the game.
Who benefited? Other golfers.
But in today's world, I mean, the Jordan Spieths of the world, the McElroys. You got so many great young players, but the stories are not as intriguing. They don't invite you in there.
Yeah.
Not to say that they're not great golfers.
That's right.
But that other it factor part of it doesn't translate the same as Tigers.
So let's talk. You played for the Miami Heat, and you played for a lot of teams. Did you gain an appreciation for what they call the Heat culture?
Prime example is this. So I was there in 2002, okay, just for a brief stint. Played well, started, did everything. We didn't make the playoffs. Later that summer, I'm still living in Dallas a little bit. Pat Riley calls me on the phone. He was our coach at the time. Eric Spoelstra was our film guy. Okay? Pat calls me and said, Jimmy, you did a great job for us in the short time here. You started. You deserve the start. But I've made 2 draft choices of these young players, and I need to see if they can play. You need to go somewhere where you can, if you can start and get the minutes, you got it. If not, you have a roster spot here. But I want you to do that. That's Pat Riley. He didn't have to do that. Now, it just so happened it was Dwayne Wade and Karan Butler who they were drafted, which was a smart. I get it, but he gave me the option of what I wanted to do with my career, whether come off the bench there or maybe seek somewhere else, okay? That's why that culture, that's why they've been able to be successful and ride the wave.
They're honest with you. They're upfront with you. They're demanding of you.
Very demanding. To be professional, to do your job. It's amazing to me that, you know, with Pat Riley, because Mickey Arison is such an outstanding owner. Why? Because he stays out the way. He allows the people that he's hired that understand the job a lot better than him to run it. So you don't have a lot of change in management, kind of like New England for a long time.
Yeah.
That's why they've been so stable.
Continuity.
Now, think about the time, too, when Eric Spoelstra got in there and there was all this riff about maybe he needs to be fired. He needs to get out. He's not mature enough. Pat Riley was like, no, that's not happening. I picked him for a reason. Okay, I'm staying with him. And now look at Eric Spoelstra is probably behind Pop, probably the best coach in the league. He might have surpassed him from that perspective. But that's the culture in Miami. And it doesn't go just basketball-wise. It's corporate. It's across the board. And how we treat our players and the families of these players. Now, everybody may not agree with certain things, but consistently for the last 20-plus years, they've been, along with San Antonio probably, and Golden State, at the high end of the spectrum when it comes to that.
I look at the Boston Celtics, and I know they've already been ousted. But speaking of continuity, would you just bring it back, give Joe Mazzulla another run? Probably wouldn't bring it back for 3 or 4 years, but both Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum now get max deals.
Yeah. Meaning
you're going to have to move some pieces. The bench going forward will not be as good.
Yeah, but if you look at Miami, it's not like you need superstars to win. You need a superstar too, but how good are your complementary players? Because that's what's going to reshape a series. Because your main guys like Bam Adebayo and Jimmy Butler, then you got Murray and Jokic, they're going to get theirs. But the other ancillary players, the players that you really need to come in for 7 games to really provide that support, are the ones that help you win a championship. So if you look at Boston, to me, why give up on something that's there? Maybe you need to change and mold a little bit more and fix and add some ancillary pieces. I think Horford is a little bit older now.
Yeah.
You probably need to replace that. Do you need to bring Marcus Smart back, or do you want Brogdon? Those are the kind of questions you need to ask and add and tweak.
Yeah, I'd love one more.
Or a nice power forward or a wing player.
Who can score a
little. Who can score. But they've been successful. It's hard getting over the top to win in this league. People just think, oh, well, you got these players and all of a sudden you should be there and win. Well, this year was an anomaly too, because at the beginning, think about this, Joe Mazzulla comes in. He replaces Ime Udoka. Normally, a coach has all summer to get his coaching staff together, get his game plan together, get all this stuff together. He didn't have that. So, of course, he's going to make some mistakes. But he grew as a coach over the course of the season, okay? And it's kind of unfair that you judge him the same that you would judge an experienced coach just because he has a talented roster. That's not the same. And you see he's going to have to, re-up, and bring in some coaches that he wants to run his stuff next year.
Who do you like, Denver, Miami? They're tied now.
I give a lot of respect for Denver from this perspective, Colin. All year they played consistent. They played together as a team. KCP I thought was huge. Bruce Brown was huge pickups. Yeah. And I love the way they play, and I just love Jokic from a basketball perspective. But it's something about that Miami team, just the way they go about their business. They can win on the road. They can win ugly. They don't have to shoot the ball well to win. You know, they find out ways just to.
They're a great fourth quarter team. I saw a stat today.
But they keep it close because they don't let the lead balloon enough where if they make a 8-10-0 run, 6-8, you know, they're right there back in the mix. And then because they're so disciplined, down the stretch of the game, they limit the amount of mental mistakes they make that allows them to ultimately, if not win the game, make it very interesting.
Jim Jackson, good talking golf and the Heat culture with Jimmy Jackson.
You got it, brother.
You golfing today later?
Tomorrow. And Thursday.
Get your clubs.
That's right.
J-Mac with the news.
Turn on the news. This is the Herd Line News.
Jim plays as much golf as I like to play basketball.
No, he does.
He's working on getting me on a NBA Summer League
Are you
team.
a scratch golfer?
Man, I can scratch. That's about it.
All right.
I'm a golfer. I love to have fun. I don't practice enough. I'm lazy when it comes to that. How about that? I just want to play.
Yeah.
So I'm up and down, bro.
Yeah, he really looks lazy. I mean, this guy works out like an animal.
Well,
He's lazy.
Just in case you and I get a 10-day, I got to make sure I support you when you dribble, penetrate, and I can kick the jets.
Always looking out for me. All right.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from The Herd or go watch a few segments from other shows on FS1.